Hello, I am the Irish guy, and Moises Caicedo is a fraud. I don't want to sound as if I'm accusing him of hacking into old ladies' credit cards, but he is a fraud. As much as we are supposed to believe he's worth over £100 million, the guy just does the donkey work in Brighton's midfield. Apparently this guy, the modern day Wilson Palacios, is some world superstar. I mean, lads, Palacios' job was to win the ball back in Tottenham's midfield and just give it to Luka Modric. With Caicedo, he just gave it to Alexis McAllister. Yeah, here were two Ecuadorian midfielders just slogging it out and fetching the ball for genuine World Cup finalists who can do something with it. And he has somehow tricked both Chelsea and Liverpool into wanting to pay over 100 million. You know, Jude Bellingham money. Am I crazy? Please tell me that you on the other side of the computer or phone screen, please tell me that you're on my side of the fence. I mean, am I living in some episode of The Twilight Zone? Am I going to walk out the door and see that everybody has turned into a pig? If I ring the police, am I just going to hear an oink down the phone? Is the moon suddenly going to fall out of the sky? Are we now going to be invaded by an army of mermaids? Is my mum going to ring me up and tell me that she just got engaged to a sheep? Because weird, wacky things are happening that don't make any sense. Moises, how difficult can you be? I realize this guy is only been around for about 10 minutes, but I'm already sick of him. If you ask me now, I would happily pay for his one-way ticket to Japan. Ah, who am I kidding? I'd barely be able to afford his breakfast at the airport. But honestly, can the footballing gods just make one of his legs fall off overnight and give us back Enak Mwepu instead? I mean, he seemed like such a nice, lovely lad. You just know he probably tours the streets of Zambia, giving away free pancakes to the poor. Caicedo is just picking and choosing which £100 million movie makes. Who does the guy think he is? This is a man who is whining, legitimately begging to quit Brighton for Arsenal in January. Then he switches up and wants a Chelsea move in the summer. And now, the week the season begins, Brighton agreed a £111 million deal for Liverpool. I mean, go. Just go. What are you waiting for? A monster worldwide club who won 6 European Cups. They want to make you the 4th most expensive footballer of all time, which I find silly beyond belief. And he says no? But maybe this is him just showing loyalty to Chelsea, who have put in the groundwork for him all summer. I mean, sure, the officials from Stamford Bridge have probably been sucking up to him for months. Probably sending his mother roses in the post every day. They've probably been scraping his grandma every week, just hiring some Chelsea intern to listen to her boring stories all day. I mean, what? It's a damn sight better than getting shot in the foot by Ashley Cole. Caicedo has had Chelsea on the brain all summer long, but this still just feels strange. So let me get this straight. The fee is £115 million. That is what it has taken for Brighton to finally accept. Well, I mean, 111 for Liverpool. So you are telling me that £100 million wouldn't have been enough? We live in a world where Brighton and Hove Albion are turning down £100 million bids? Does that not just show you how bonkers the world is? This is a club who only a few years ago had Dale Stevens in midfield. It is lunacy. This would be like, I don't know, your modest neighbor Jim, who lives alone in a one-bedroom council flat and who just eats his own cats for lunch. It would be like him turning down a Sony record deal from Simon Cowell. Caicedo is not worth the money. The Brighton fans probably sing, "We all dream of a team of Caicedos." Yeah, the frightening reality is that a team of Caicedos would cost over £1 billion. Although, to be fair, considering he's not yet tall enough to go on some roller coasters at Disneyland, sticking him in goal would be a big mistake. It would be like asking Frodo Baggins to play basketball. As Tyler Adams, Moises Caicedo, and Romeo Lavia have been caught in such a confusing love triangle, I don't even know which one the werewolf is. Yeah. Am I really making Twilight jokes? Is that really what gets me to 200k? But this is a huge, messy cobweb. Both Chelsea and Liverpool need a DM. And Lavia is clearly the plan B for both, which must be a huge boost to his self-esteem. But imagine some woman down a pub. She has 2 men offering to buy her a drink, but only if the other woman from across the room turns them down. This was not how it was supposed to be as a romantic fairy tale for Lavia. I mean, his name is literally Romeo, but this is a bit like if Juliet only ran away with him after first being knocked back with a priest. I mean, poor old Adams. This guy thought he had the Chelsea transfer in the bag, somehow surviving relegation with Leeds to actually then land a move to Stamford Bridge and replace Christian Pulisic as their brandable Captain America. He was probably so excited he couldn't finish his spaghetti pie without hiccuping 9 times. But then Caicedo turns down Liverpool, and so Chelsea talks with Adams mysteriously break down. They said the clubs were unable to reach an agreement. Yeah, does it count if the Chelsea officials suddenly climbed out the bathroom window halfway through their lunch meeting? Right now, Adams is probably still sitting in the steakhouse, sipping on his orange juice and praying that Todd Bowley comes back.
Oh, it must just be diarrhea.
Yeah. not for 36 hours. Ah, who are we kidding? Bowley is such an incompetent Homer Simpson. He'd probably just get stuck in the window. Restaurant staff would have to wedge him out with a broom. But does this mean that Liverpool return for Lavia? This is a club who are haggling over a £50 million transfer fee. But now they've played their hand entirely, because they pulled out of the Bellingham deal because they didn't have the funds. Yeah, Caicedo literally costs more. So what is going on? I think the Reds just didn't want to have to go through the embarrassment of trying to compete with Real Madrid when they can only offer Europa League nights. I mean, fair point. Maybe like me asking the BBC if I can host match of the day, I would have more luck asking Santa if I can get a massage from an elf. But I don't get it. Liverpool do have the funds for a £100 million midfielder. Why were they pretending like they didn't? This is a bit like a homeless person begging for money on the London Tube whilst forgetting to take off their fancy brand watch. But I reckon that this is actually more embarrassing than failing with a bid for Bellingham, because there's no shame in seeing a player choose Real over you, but seeing a team who just finished 12th in the Premier League, seeing them steal the player from you, seeing Caicedo literally prefer to work with the guy who Klopp easily beat in a European final, Liverpool must feel embarrassed. Why did they stick in a monster £111 million bid without first checking if Caicedo even wanted to join? I have not seen a footballer turn down a £100 million plus move to a European team since Kaká said no to Man City in 2009. Everyone else, Neymar, Mbappe, Coutinho, Felix, Enzo, Griezmann, Hazard, Grealish, Rice, Kane, they all say yes, but not Caicedo. And here's the kicker. Chelsea are close to signing Lavia too. I mean, how greedy can you be? They're buying both of Liverpool's midfield targets. So is Klopp gonna have to settle for Adams? To be fair, it did annoy me how many times people used to think that Liverpool had an Adams in midfield 10 years ago. Yeah, I mean, his name was Charlie Adam. People kept needlessly chucking an S on the end of his name. Not sure why, but yeah, he was just some scruffy Scottish midfielder who they signed after relegation. But I mean, at least Tyler looks the part. Charlie, he just looked like he drank 12 pints of lager for breakfast before brushing his teeth with a fork. Yes, he could shoot from the halfway line, but I mean, his breath probably stunk of cheeseburgers. Tyler is a much better player, but he should be a squad player at Liverpool at best, if he really is the Fabinho replacement. Oh no. What I will say is this. Brighton battered Manchester United 4-0 in May 2022. Nobody bought Caicedo that summer. Instead, all the fuss was about who was going to get their grubby paws on Yves Bissouma. You know, the bloke who was arrested in a nightclub the previous year? The man who's grown up to be a disappointing Tottenham flop? Someone who, sadly, is no more impressive than a wheelie bin filled with dog food? Lads, being told that Jack Grealish was a £100 million footballer, I had to stomach that reality. It felt about as natural as if somebody had told me that my dad's head was made of porridge. I just know that's not true. Hearing that Declan Rice was now worth £100 million. Again, that made me nearly sneeze cheese out my nose. Enzo Fernandez was another incredulous one, but at least he just lifted the World Cup. What's Caicedo? Yes, I realize he grew up in the Barcelona Academy, but not La Masia. Nah, just the copycat one in Ecuador. There, I keep saying it, but there should be a rule. If you didn't know who he was 3 years ago, you shouldn't be writing a £100 million check. I honestly think the football chairman need to legally prove that they knew who these players were 40 months earlier. Honestly, if you cannot prove to a judge that you were aware of Caicedo in 2019 through, I don't know, text messages to a mate, then you shouldn't be allowed to throw away this monster amount of money. That's how you bankrupt a club, because this is becoming a worrying trend. Enzo was another one. I guarantee you 97% of Chelsea fans on planet Earth did not know this creature even existed 18 months ago. I mean, yes, a small portion of Argentine Chelsea fans, you know, the ones who only support the club because of Hernan Crespo, yes, they would have been aware of Enzo at River Plate, but everybody else probably just assumed he was a character on Sesame Street. Again, it happened before when Atletico Madrid jumped the shark and wrote a £100 million paycheck for João Felix after just one season with Benfica. And look at him now, he's 23 and being offered to Aston Villa. Brighton are scamming everyone. There is no way this man is worth £1/10 of £1 billion. I mean, they only signed him for £4 million 2.5 years ago. We get it. Caicedo is being marketed as the next Kante. I mean, he's a lovely, humble sweetheart. Someone who's probably too shy to even ask a woman for the time. But why are we all assuming that he's just as good at football as Kante? Also, if he was really that humble, he wouldn't be repeatedly trying to force his way out of the club who gave him his big break. If it weren't for Brighton and Hove Albion, he would still be playing in dusty bogs in Ecuador, desperately trying not to have his foot bitten off by a snake every time he takes a corner kick. Lads, Brighton turned into Southampton so fast I didn't even notice. Remember when that club produced star after star after star who they then cashed in on for eye-watering cash. They're a bit like an orphanage who only stole the most talented kids in the country. You aren't exactly having to adopt a weird 12-year-old called Greg who only has one eye and an obsession with eating your wife's lipstick and smothering your cats while you sleep. I thought the most successful bloom in the country was the guy who played Legolas. But no, despite Tony looking like one of the goblins who run Gringotts, he is actually a chairman genius. This guy was just supposed to be a middle-aged poker player who bought his boyhood club on a whim in 2009. But to get £100 million for Caicedo, honestly, wow. Anyway, that's the end of it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? What do you think? How much is Caicedo actually worth? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.